Hello and welcome to Beats, Rhymes and Life podcast. I'm Shakira.
I'm Ash.
The one and only Riz.
And we have a return guest, a friend of the show, as we like to
show.
call her.
Just shout myself out. Emmavie.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Emmavie.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Singer extraordinaire. Welcome.
Try.
Well, just to get the announcements out of the way and all of that, this is our 50th episode.
Happy birthday, guys.
Yeah,
Birthday.
And technically,
so
almost our 2 year
Almost
anniversary
our 2
as well.
year,
It is our
yeah.
2 year anniversary.
It's the 27th or the 30th. I can't remember because we used to do the episodes on we would record on a Saturday and drop on a Tuesday. So it's either the 27th, depending on how we're like February the 30th, innit? Either we got 2 birthdays, but 2 years. It's
We're still here.
Guys. It's still here, innit?
Awesome.
You guys aren't sick of me yet.
We made it.
They almost pushed me out a few times.
No. It's been a journey. Me personally, I'd like to thank both of you for staying committed to the cause and
More like putting up with you.
Yeah, putting up with me and believing in what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been a ride. I enjoyed it and. Yeah.
Wait,
It
you've
sounded-
enjoyed
wait,
it
wait.
thus far.
Like goodbye.
That sounded like peace.
No, I'm still here for the long haul, innit? Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Cool.
You lot are gonna have to do a lot more than that to get rid of me.
Alright, cool.
All
Well,
right.
since you're giving that a whole message and stuff, from my perspective, thank you guys both
Yeah.
for your time and everything. Even though you're both extremely frustrating, I'd like to highlight that. But it's been a great time so far.
I admit I am very frustrated.
And I think we've also made some great connections and authentic relationships with people, artists, producers, creatives, etc. Emmavie, for example,
Sweet.
and many others. So yeah, that's my
man.
bit.
Okay, so it's my turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you to you guys. In fact, I've been giving these lot so much love the past few weeks. I think they're sick
you
of
really
it.
have actually.
I think they're really
I'm
sick
here
of
for
it.
man.
Like,
Cool with it.
Riz
but I'm
loves
not used
it.
to
Ash is a little bit uncomfortable. Like, can you man the fuck up again?
Yeah, man. Stop talking to me about like love and the sun and the moon and stars and crystals and chakras and shit. No.
But no, I do. I appreciate these lot because they really, honestly do put up with my bullshit. Like, I am actually terrible. Like, honestly, sometimes I'm like, why do you guys actually put up with me? And
You're
they
not
can't
that
actually
bad.
answer.
No, to be fair to you, you've made massive improvements.
I have tried.
You used to be really, really frustrated. Now you're only slightly on the odd occasion.
I'm
fair to you.
trying
Do you know what
to
it is?
be
Yeah,
better.
obviously, on the organised scale, like Ash is probably the most.
He's amazing. I don't know how he puts up with us.
The most organised.
But
I
this-
thought I was organised,
but
but
this-
I'm definitely
This
not.
is the problem, yeah. Because I'm seen as the most organised, therefore I end up organising everything.
Everything. Yeah.
That's not true.
Basically,
Like, if you were to put percentages to it, it's probably 90% me, 10% you. Though.
I
and
would say
honestly,
30%.
it's probably 9% reason.
I would like to bargain for about 30%.
I'm not. When I have that, I'm not having that.
You're not having it.
No.
Cool, man.
But no, Ash puts a lot of work into this. He does. And I do appreciate him. I appreciate both of these lot because honestly, without them, this wouldn't happen.
Thank you. That was some nice self-appreciation out the way.
I thought that was really cute. It's like so lovely.
We don't have these moments often. Usually
know,
it's you
it's
get on my
nice
nerves.
How have you been?
I've been good. How have you been?
Let's
Caught you
not
off guard.
complicate things now.
It's been a long week.
I can imagine.
Obviously, bank holiday was. Everyone turns up for bank holiday.
Yeah.
Like everyone loses all sensibilities. Like I've become this super responsible, don't go anywhere, hardly ever drink. So like when you're on
He's like, oh, sweatshirt now. I don't
Snapchat
like
and
shit
you're
and I
just
don't go
tapping.
outside.
Yeah.
tapping and tapping and tapping, and the dots are so small, but you're still tapping and tapping,
Yeah.
and everyone looks like they're having an amazing time. But I'd just like to say hi, peasants.
What?
Hi to all the peasants that are going to be broke in a week and a half.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I
count
haven't
my-
been
I'll
paid yet,
count
so
my
I'm already
pennies.
broke. In the group chat yesterday, I was just like, lend me some money then. Like, give me some money. And these lot were laughing. I was like, I mean,
No, I'm being
But-
serious.
hello, money. Like, they were arguing over whose pay rise was better. And I was
No,
like,
do
I
you know what
honestly
it is,
don't
yeah?
mind
Please,
which
yeah.
one of you gives me money, but
No, my pay
One
rise
of you.
was disrespectful. Like, obviously, last month, like because I got the new contract like half like from the 18th is when my new contract kicked in. So I got like a week and maybe 6 days worth of new pay. So I was thinking that this month I'm gonna see like an incremental rise. Let's just say I was on Indeed. I was on Indeed this week, innit?
Me too.
I might need to start, reassessing a few things. I'm worth more than this.
Yeah, you know it.
My week's been good, busy since the bank holiday. We've done a lot of family stuff. A lot of family stuff.
Oh, you had a week off, cheeky.
Yeah, because I booked a week off to have family time for the most part. And then I also managed to sneak in and go and see Avengers by myself.
Oh, I want to go see it probably today.
You absolutely, ultimately need to go see it.
Okay, then that's today. That's my plan.
Just
I got into
clear out whatever you need to
yeah.
clear out.
Yeah.
Just go watch it.
I'm watching it.
Like, when you post something in a group chat, like I try to be like, I do attempt to do my little bit of organising here and there, but our friendship group is just way too many personalities to
and too unorganised.
Yeah,
as
to
a group.
get into one. So I was like, about 3 weeks ago, I posted it. I was like, we should go see it on such and such day.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from anyone, so I just went on Odeon on Wednesday evening, and I found like a showing at Lee Valley, and I just booked a ticket and went by myself. And I couldn't have been any more pleased with the. We're not gonna spoil.
Please don't.
Yeah. Let's just stop there.
Yeah.
Amazing film.
I just want to say that I cried my eyes out.
No way.
Cried like.
I'll probably
already
cry
too much
then.
information.
Nah, if you cry, then that means I'm definitely gonna cry because I just cry at everything.
No, do you know what it was? Yeah, like,
I'm not gonna lie. I almost dropped
in
a couple fug tears.
Is
I welled up a couple times.
It was emotional.
Oh,
There
snap.
was like two people next to me, so you had this really like, I would say, he smelt of punk, the highest strand of punk to the left. So we had two completely different. So I had him on my left, and I had this like I wouldn't say teenage, but you could tell he was kind of young, and he was in like tears throughout for literally the whole second half of the movie. He wasn't even barely watching. He had his hoodie like pulled up over his face, just sobbing throughout the whole second half of the film.
Gosh.
I was like, I didn't even get a chance to kind of take into consideration my own emotions.
Yeah,
because I was like, is he alright?
I think that is how my son felt,
Is he
because
alright?
he just kept looking at me like, Mom, Mom. And I was broken. Like, I was a broken person. You know when you actually surprise yourself with the emotions that you're showing? I was like, wait, what is happening to me?
This isn't
like,
real.
stop crying. This is ridiculous. But yeah,
Oh my God.
it's emotional, and I'm ready to go and see it again.
Yeah, I'm waiting as well, but time-wise, we'll see. Good little catch-up, guys.
Yeah. Ready to move on?
Music. So last time you were on the show,
Wow, straight into
we were kind of.
How long has it been since, by the way?
I think it's been like
It's
almost a
been
year. I think
Probably like that, isn't it?
probably about
I
that.
know what's happened.
We were kind of pressuring you about your album.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that now.
You can.
by
I
the
don't
way.
mind.
No,
It's
I'm
like,
not
I
gonna
kinda
do that.
deserve
Yeah,
it.
I'm saying it later in the episode. But what I wanted to make a point of was that obviously we haven't heard anything about an album, but you've actually been consistently releasing music of late.
Been trying to.
How did this come about? You've kind of created this series of music that you're billing it as. What's the whole idea and concept behind it?
Okay, so I want to be as honest as I can be. Obviously, with like having an album and having no release date for a really long time, but then it being finished and then not having, I think there hasn't been a plan that has just made sense for the album since I signed it. And I think I probably signed it sooner than I should have, because I was doing so much changing, so much developing as an artist, that like it probably was right for that time, and then so much happened career-wise that just made it never right after that point. But actually it's strange, right now I feel like it's the right time now, but because that was signed like 5 years ago or something like that, it's been done for about a year and a half. And I mean, that's like the mixing master has been done for a year and a half, but the recording was done probably, some of these songs are like 4 or 5 years old, that sort of stuff. It still sounds fresh because it's really experimental and there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's like, these are old tunes. So I just thought, well, in the meantime, I need to get out the ideas that I have because I just can't sit on certain stuff. And like I remember I went to Budapest. When was this? It's like September last year. And I was just walking down the street at like 2 a.m. in the morning after coming out of this big club called Instant. And like walking down the road and speaking to my friend Sabi, and I was just like, you know what needs to happen, especially for UK R&B and soul, is there has to be no rules, and it has to come out of the box that it's in. Or because I'm like, albums and EPs and stuff, it's so normal and it's not changing anything. Yeah. And I was just like, I want to actually just randomly just be dropping songs that are out of the box, don't mean anything specifically to like the context of an album, are just standalone songs. Then I was just like, actually I want to do this A-B thing where I have 2 songs that are like contrasting of each other but still very much me. So now it's just like, and then have no rules, it just drops whenever it drops. I dropped the video for Rather Be, which was like outside of the context of an album. It's quite random for me because it was like I wasn't singing, I was just going na 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 na, and I remember when I recorded it I was like, this is annoying. I was like, this is actually annoying, but I'm like, I said what I wanted to say, and I was like, I'm not going to change it now because it's like, it feels like how I felt. But it isn't me doing like a sexy song like I always do. Do you know what I mean? Like all of my tunes, 90% of them are like love songs and stuff like that. So I was just like, I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to give you, the sexy songs, but I'm also going to come back with like, I've got some stuff that's coming soon.
We enjoy it.
Yeah, that's important. And like in the meantime, before the album comes out, which is like, it's structured and it makes sense.
You're still keeping yourself relevant.
Yeah, and giving some personality. Because I feel like that's what's been missing for me at least, is people knowing who I actually am. I think the music has kind of painted a particular picture because it's been quite romantic, that I'm like probably just about love songs, but I think I'm a bit more, I don't know, a bit more something else than just that.
It's interesting you say that because we've had quite a few, I would say, people that, well, whether or not they would box themselves in as R&B soul, like we've had a few. We had Lila Gold, we had Ricardo Williams. Like in terms of the UK scene and how R&B consists of itself now, I feel it's important for people like yourself to kind of, push the boundaries and the envelopes in terms of what we're familiar with hearing, and also being like not open to hearing new sounds, but people actually taking the creative side and pushing that envelope for themselves. And obviously it still very much comes back to R&B because that's what you love doing, but at the same time allowing the sound to kind of develop in and breathe, like basically breathing new life into R&B. Because we all have an idea of what we would consider authentic or the R&B that we want to hear, but music's always going to evolve, it's always going to change, and I think it's important that you've taken that approach. What I wanted to ask, just come back around. Basically, in terms of your creative process and how you're making music now, I know obviously you're someone that produces, you write, you produce for other people, you write for other people. Do you ever kind of like have a conflict of interest in terms of what your music, like, because your album's done, are you conscious of making music completely different to what you've done in the past, or is it just whatever you're feeling at the time?
It's whatever I'm feeling. I think at the moment I feel like I've gone back to what I was making in like 2013 when I was doing this. I had this EP called Love Hater, and it was just like, oh, you guys have heard that? Oh, that's sweet.
That was the first project of yours I heard, actually.
Okay, amazing.
What was the song? You put me onto a couple songs, and then I went and listened to that project.
So like, if you then it's kind of like there's a lot of flips and there's a lot of like, I don't know, I don't know, it's just me just being free and letting things go off the beat, loads of harmonies and stuff like that. It doesn't really sound.
I think we could hear your influences a lot as well. I think Jealous sounded like a Neptune song, but it was your version of a Neptune song. You weren't just stealing their chords or whatever.
Like,
this is kind of like my thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I wanted to make at that time I was definitely like making an ode to the music that I loved and wanted to hear. And like now I'm back in that place where there was a period of time where I was just like, I want to make music that will would sit right with people because I want it to do well. And then I was just like, then you get lost in that because I'm like, oh, then am I going to trap R&B? Is this sound like Bryson Tiller? Is it trying to be too much like her or whatever? Now I'm just like, what is it going to sound like if I try and make this percussive instrument sound like it's coming from the other side of the room back and forth to the back of your head and stuff like that? And I want people to really get that when they hear it. So now I'm just like experimenting with sound, and then whatever happens. And like in terms of working with people, and I'm trying to like pull out the weirdest things I possibly can out of whoever I'm in a session with, because it's like then you push the boat, you never know what's going to happen.
I mean, everyone that we've kind of spoken to, they speak very highly of your ability to bring the best out of them.
Oh man, that's
so
nice.
I'm not really sure how. Is it something that you're conscious of, and like you said, you want to like delve into areas with artists that they're not necessarily comfortable? Is it more of a case of, you know, where you have that idea of, because like you said, your identity is still very much romantic. Everyone's kind of fixated with that one part of you. Like, do you see working with other artists as an opportunity to, like, you know, branch out and do different things? Definitely. Or is it a case of you literally just go in the studio and vibe?
I think it's always an opportunity to do different things, because I mean, if you set out the time to make music, it shouldn't be like within any constraints. And like I think there's like one memory I always have is I used to record Ego in my room when this is like 2000. That's Ego LMA, by the way. In probably like 2000, maybe 13. That's sort of like when I was really just getting into experimenting with music a lot. And I would listen to the differences. I got her to buy a little setup. So I gave her my old monitors, and then she bought like a microphone, probably the same one I had at the time. And I got her to start recording at hers, just so she could be practicing recording, and like whenever I'm not free, she can just be doing her thing anyways. And I'd listen to the stems like that she'd record versus when she was recording with me. And I noticed a significant difference was that when she was singing so quietly, and I realized that when people are recording at home in their home environments and stuff like that, there's so many, one, they don't want their parents to hear, or their brother or sister or whatever, they're embarrassed. Whereas when you come to my house, my mum is like, I've been making noise for years. Like my neighbors don't think about like, they don't care about the noise. It's been at maximum volume up until 4 a.m. in the morning for 14, 15 years, something like that. So people come to the house. I've got a studio set up, and I'm like, you can be as free as you want to be here. This like, is where, like, if you haven't belted in front of someone before, and maybe you don't get the opportunity to be as loud as you ever have been, this is the opportunity for you to sing out. Like, let your voice be heard. Do things that you would be embarrassed of people, like, people hearing. Don't worry about the bum notes. Like, one, I'm sick at vocal like arrangements and chopping up, and I will make you sound perfect. Just push it as far as you can, because like people get into the studio and they got 4 hours or something like that, and their money runs out. So it's just like, then you're freaking out. There's the pressure. I'm like, you can stay. I'm gonna cook food. Like, we'll probably be recording till 6 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes we'll do 100 takes on like one line just to get it perfect, and then that person would have had so much practice in that like I think people feel like that's where they're able to get the freedom working with me, is because there isn't that constraint. There isn't that time constraint.
Good atmosphere to have. I think when you're talking about this, all it reminds me is like, although yours is a lot more personable, it reminds me of Diddy, like in the studio, people go, no, do that again. Exactly. do that again. His was very much like an aggressive perfectionist approach, where yours is more like, no, let's work, let's chill out, you know, have something to eat, have a drink, etc. But it is very much trying to get to that end point of a form of perfection, I guess. One of the things I wanted to mention, back to Riz's point about speaking to different artists and their approach. So yourself, you don't want to be boxing, you're just like, I'm gonna make what I feel. Lilo Gold, very similar from speaking to her. But then you also have other artists like Ricardo. His thing is very much R&B didn't die. He's like, this is, I think he almost sees himself as like an embodiment of what R&B should be from his perspective. And one thing we mentioned from him is that you can hear his influence, that he's definitely a big Tank fan. From his vocals and how he arranges his music and stuff. It's just really interesting to me, the differences between people, because a lot of you guys are all seen as pushing the current UK R&B scene forward. I feel like everybody's kind of been bubbling for years anyway, and it seems like everybody's coming to the forefront now, but in your own ways, which is really good to see. Because even I think Tiana Major, now she's kind of got that slightly bigger platform now, and she's doing shows and stuff. She's got the R&B stuff, but some of it's a bit more poppy. Like Levy's is more pop
more
to
jazz me a little bit as well.
So but it's just, I just want to say it's good to see.
It's nice because obviously as people who love R&B, we have been listening to these artists from so long, and it's nice to see them all stepping into their own, finding different sounds that work for them, and getting the appreciation that I feel like they should have been getting from a long time ago. And it's like the UK R&B scene is at a really nice stage where it's getting appreciated, where people are actually saying we've got so much talent here, and it's like, yes, we have
it wouldn't have been said before. I think you've got so many artists that are making R&B or stuff derived from R&B, but in so many different forms and fashions, but at a really, really high level at this point. And a quick shout to Ricardo as well. His project is sick. It is like, when he says like R&B is what I want to make, that's R&B.
R&B.
That is when you think of kind of 90s to early 2000s R&B, that's what his project is.
It's not gonna lie, was speaking to him, he was like, I know you're gonna feel this.
I like that energy.
He was like, I definitely know that you're gonna like this.
But I love Ricardo. I like the fact that he knows he makes good R&B. He does, and I like the fact that he knows that.
Somebody I wanted to mention is a good friend and collaborator of yourself. Romderful just dropped his album,
my baby,
which is amazing.
I
think it's like, speaking to him, it's like the perfect blend of just his style and similar to what you said, like an ode to the music he loves as well. I just want to say that project's great, and I hope you two really go through this idea that you had that I saw fleshed out yesterday.
Last night I was in bed like this. It's like, who wants to make beats together and sing on them? I'm like, go on, why not? No, I think we've been planning to do that for ages. He's always like, we don't get enough time together, and then when we do, because we don't get enough time together, we end up talking so much more than we end up making music. You know those ones? Like, he's lying on my bed and we're like, oh my god, like, so how's things? Like, how's it going? And he's like, oh, it's great. And I'm just like, oh yeah, how's things with you? I'm like, oh, man. And then 5 hours is gone, and then we just end up playing beats to each other, but not getting that opportunity to like to really and experiment together. But like, I've literally set time aside for the next like 2 months to just get a crazy amount of music done. So like, I'm just with him, I'm giving the majority of that chunk of time to him, because and when we get into stuff, I think I get his sound a lot, so I know how to just jump on it, and he's getting into singing, so I'm like, and he writes so well. Like, if you listen to the album, actually in terms of his writing, he's an awesome R&B writer, so I'm just like, all right, cool. Bring out his voice. That's it. Like, he's got a beautiful voice, he's got a beautiful tone. What it is about strengthening the core, do you know what I mean? Like, just giving him the technique, and maybe we'll be like a band or something. Who knows what's gonna happen?
I'm excited for that.
Shouts to him. We should have him on the show next month, but we'll see.
I know Ash always loves to, run through his list of projects that we should have listened to. I can't lie, like, I'm just copying a plea from early this week. Remember I said to you I had the issues with my hard drive. I managed to back up all my music. So at this point in time, because I've got an old
he hasn't
MacBook.
Listened to any new music.
Fair enough.
That's what we're getting to.
Around. I've got an old MacBook, and then I've got my Mac. So I've put my music from my Mac onto the hard drive, and then my hard drive is syncing to my Apple Music.
Okay.
So I've left my computer on all week, and I've got to Fab. So I kind of got stuck on Fab, like old soul tapes and stuff. And even that, the old Clue tapes.
Yeah.
So I haven't listened to any. Although Lil Kana's album sounded smooth.
That's perfectly fine, because I've hardly listened to any music, because usually I listen to music when I'm commuting and stuff, I haven't. It's just been like pretty much.
You can tell Ash is like the head teacher.
So I've only listened to stuff in the last few days. I listened to Romderful's album probably about 5 or 6 times, just straight through again and again and again.
Me too.
Really enjoyed it. There was like no skips for me, nothing. Like, you know, when the project started, I think that was it. When I first heard the single, when I heard Run Things with Shaka, I was like, okay, this is cool. I really like this. I like Shaka anyway. Yeah. I feel like he's changed his style slightly. I think, I don't know, he's kind of found a pocket that he sits in that works for him now. But with somebody like Romderful, it works perfectly. Like, I really enjoyed it. But beginning to end, loved the album. Lil Kana's album,
sick.
Loved it. I might even prefer it to his previous album.
I do.
I think I do. Musically, it's like, I don't know.
Sounds very cohesive.
Yeah, it does.
It is. And it all blends so well together.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more soulful than the previous album as well. I think he's gone slightly less hip hop, if I can say that with this. It's still hip hop music, still soul music, etc. But I don't think some of the beats are as tough, which I think works in this case with the stuff he's talking about, his approach to it and everything. It's more laid back, I think, I would say.
I like the whole concept of it. I like the way it flows through. Yeah. I like the transitions. I really appreciate it.
There's a few other projects that dropped that I haven't had to been able to listen to as much, but I flicked through. Your old Droog, I don't know if you guys remember that name. So a few years ago, somebody dropped a project and everybody said it was Nas altering his voice.
I remember.
Okay. Yeah. And he dropped a project with DJ Skids, which is actually a really good project. But there was this whole controversy, like nobody had seen this guy's face, nobody knew who he was. There were like freestyles on YouTube under YOD, like the abbreviation of his name, and it was just sick. But it was this whole thing about he's either Nas or he's trying to be Nas.
Yeah.
But that all went out the window after however long, and he started putting out his own music again. And he just dropped an album which was executive produced by Mac Comey.
Oh, cool.
And it sounds like a Mac album in terms of like
I'm
sonically.
not mad at that.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
I'm not mad at that.
The thing is, I like Droog. I think he's dope. He's just one of those people. I could just sit there and listen to him rap all day long. He picks a type of like kind of funk breaks, soul breaks type of stuff to rap over, where this is a lot more gritty. I really enjoyed it. I haven't gotten to like full depths of it yet, of really analysing it or anything, but it's definitely worth listening. Like if you like Mac or you like Droog, 100% worth listening to.
I'm a Mac fan. I'll check it out.
Nice. I know you're a Mac fan. That's why I looked at you when I said it.
I'm a big.
Has
Mac
anyone
fan.
listened to Schoolboy Q's
I
album?
have listened to it.
I haven't listened to Q's album yet.
I have listened
Shakira
to
has.
it. I've only listened to it once though, so I feel a bit. It's a good album. It's a good Q album. I'm always on the fence with him a little bit because it's like he comes in and out of what I would say is what I like to hear from him. But in terms of the musicality of it, and it's what you would expect from a Q album.
I mean, I flicked through like the first 5 songs of it and I turned it off. That's not an indictment because obviously he's not someone that I would necessarily look for to give me a banging project from top to bottom.
I get bangers from Q.
Yeah,
I always get every project 3 or 4 songs that I love.
And find 3 songs and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's enough for me.
I feel like with him though, he's a bit experimental in his approach, and
I think all of TDR.
They are.
That's true.
And so because of that, I'm always interested to hear
what he's gonna come
where he experiments. So in that, I sort of got the feel of okay, this is where you're going. It's not a favorite album of mine, but because he's so talented anyway, it's like it's
You're
just
not mad at like
no,
I'm never gonna be mad.
Do you know what it is? I'm never gonna listen to a Q album and say this is a bad album. That's not gonna happen because he's got so much talent. It's just. Is it one of my favourites? Not particularly. I'll give it another listen and I'll see. I'll probably pick out my favourites. I haven't picked out any favourites.
It's weird, that we make these allowances for certain people. Like in terms of like, for instance, you look at the camp that he comes from and you have a certain level of expectancy with the rest of the camp. But because of how he is as a person, we're kind of like, we're just happy to hear something.
Happy to hear from him.
Because like, he'll drop and then he'll vanish.
Yeah.
Like, you won't hear
He's more of that old school of just drop an album and then disappear.
Yeah.
Like you won't get a feature. No, like,
I
couldn't tell you the last time I heard like him on anything.
Yeah.
So it's obviously just exciting to hear like something.
It's just like, this is what you've been doing. All right, I hear you, Q. But do you know what it is? I think if he did that and then what he put out was just like, oh my gosh, this is garbage, then we would be more judgmental. But you don't ever get garbage from him. You get things that you connect with less, but at the same time, you can respect the musicality of it. You can respect that he's still dropping bars. You can respect, you know what I mean? So because of that, it's like, you still see, this is your talent. You can do this. And I know that it appears... I listened to it and I was like, I know exactly who you're appealing to here. That's what it was. I knew exactly. So yeah, like, I respect TDE though. I think that as a group, as a collective, there's not many collectives that are more talented, have such a vast amount of talent within them.
I agree, and I think you
Cole
have to credit.
Have something to say about that.
Dreamville ain't fucking with TD. Sorry,
TD, because they're all
not
like,
telling you.
And you know what it is? It's because Kendrick isn't even the most talented out of the camp. Do you get what I mean? Like, he's posted as the guy, but when you actually listen to the whole camp, like, he's not the most talented.
I think for TD, credit has to go to Top Dog to like creating and pushing that atmosphere. Yeah, because it's very rare. Well, I say rare, but there's not many great hip hop groups or labels or cliques or whatever that are that successful.
At that level, and they've still got all of that talent, all of like, they still push innovation while still maintaining the fundamentals. Then, do you know what I mean? So you can be innovative, but you've still got the fundamentals. That's hard. That's a hard balance to get.
Can I ask a question? Because Ash just looked at me like sideways here. You know, obviously we have this point in hip hop where back in the day we had Rough Riders, Rockefeller, I'd say Dipset, G-Unit, Like, what, or I want to say, which out of, because as much as TDE's probably got the best collective of talent, they're not my favourite set in it. So, like, I just want to go around the room and ask, like, out of the current, because there's quite a few out there. You got Dreamville, you got good music. Who is your go-to? Like, if you hear, say for instance, there was a project dropping from one of these, like, which one would you anticipate the most?
TDE. No, it would be TDE. TDE for me.
Mine would be TDE.
That was unanimous.
Yeah. Mine would be TDE.
But who's your favorite?
Who would you?
I would still want to hear good music.
I'm not that person. It's not me.
I'm good with not looking for good music. It's only Pusha keeping me there. When Pusha drops, I'm there before anybody.
But like,
that
when for me, drops, I look
but
at,
if you're looking
even
at
with Sean, I would still want to hear a Sean. I would still want to hear
Sean.
I would want to hear Tiana project. Like, I would want to hear Tiana project more than I want to hear SZA project.
Well, let me put it to you this way:
Tiana
Tiana may as well be Def Jam and not good music because they're not backing.
Good music are not doing anything for Tiana. That's true. Tiana has so much talent, but good is not showing us that. Good is not showcasing that.
Her full album.
Like, I don't think that's so. For me, I don't even see Tiana as a reflection of good music. I see her as over there. She's trying to escape. She's trying to get out the back door.
I understand what you're saying, but no, I wouldn't go for good like that. And even then, having said that, I don't love any of J-Rock's albums. I like J-Rock's albums, and I like him as a rapper. Like, his features are sick. He's still got the best verse on Money Trees to me.
Absolutely.
As an example. Absol, dope. I will always check for Ab when he drops. But again, his albums I don't love. SZA, I really, really enjoyed her album, and I was spinning it for like a good month straight. When I revisited it more recently, I wasn't feeling it as much. It might have been a thing of the time. I might have to go back to it.
That was
I can always go back to it.
Yeah.
I feel like she made that for me.
Kendrick, love most of the stuff he's put out. To be honest, for the most part, beginning to end. So it's a no-brainer for me. Good music. You've got Push, Sean, Tiana. Common's still signed, but he's not really doing music.
And you throwing Chains in the mix?
Yeah, I know he's got a situation, but really Chains is Def Jam. I know good music and Def Jam have that relationship, but I wouldn't look at 2 Chainz and say he's a good music artist.
Travis?
Purely because of it. Travis is trash. I'm not even going to go there with you.
Do you know what it is,
whack.
Having listened back to...
What, Astro World?
No.
Astro World,
can I just... Sorry.
No. What I will say is, like, he's probably, like... out of all of the newer artists, he's probably the most influential, because I listen to Travis and I hear Travis in so many other artists right
That's
now.
true.
How many of them are good?
Like,
Actually, that's true. That's a good point.
do you know what it is? Yeah, like I know we love to make that distinction.
I know, but give me some names, please. I'll stop being so facetious. Just give me a few names
first, and then we can revisit your point. Like he is like, you see where we had what's his name, man? The other Travis, man. The mixed race Travis with the tattoos and the
from Gym Class Heroes.
Gym Class Heroes.
Yeah.
You know where you had an artist that came out, and it's like the one that won the the one that won the Grammy.
Just waiting here.
That won the Grammy instead of Kendrick.
Macklemore.
Oh wow!
All of those, like Asher Roth, all of those artists, I could hear Travi from Gym Class Heroes. I can see that it's another person like that is
I got one
Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
You hear so many artists that are like direct come from that lineage.
Yeah.
I hear so much Travis in everybody that's out today, whether or not it's good or bad. Like you kind of have to kind of give him a bit of credit.
Why?
Names.
Huh?
Names. Give me a few names. Who does Travis influence?
He influences Kanye, and that in itself has far-reaching.
All right, let's stop there though.
Implications.
Let's stop there. Let's just pause for a minute. Hearing that other people take aspects of somebody and use it in their music, does that mean that you yourself make good music?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
To be fair,
And
he's not saying he makes good music.
I know,
He's saying he influences
in terms of that, it's like, is that enough to then classify Travis as being worthy of the listen?
But I'm just saying in terms of like, I'm
also,
someone that
are you
listens,
having a good influence or a negative one? Is the
I think you know what it is with Travis. I'm gonna let you.
I'm gonna let you finish, but
no, go ahead.
Beyonce had the best.
I'm still waiting.
You're not gonna get me to give names in it, because that's
I'm
just
not
not
talking about the names. I'm waiting. I've got my retorts.
All right, like you said, are they good influences? I don't necessarily see Travis Scott as this amazing like artist. Like we look at Max B, and Max B's print is left in it, regardless of whether or not it's a good or bad print. Everyone that does the Future melody, half sing, half rap, they're all kind of, even Wayne to an extent.
They're all Max's kids.
They're all Max's kids, innit? Yeah. So I'm not gonna look at it as I'm never gonna look at Max B and hold him to like a high like standard of anything, innit? But you've had an influence on the sound or the culture to an extent where I have to not necessarily tip my hat, but I gotta give you your dues, innit? I'm not saying that I rate what you're doing or what you've done. It's just, all right, everyone that has made music that sounds like this, make music because of you. It's not saying that, I rate all of those artists. It's just saying, cool, innit? That's because of you. So with Travis, like everyone that does the whole, again, it's more like even.
What's the sound though that you think that he has? Like, give me. What's the sound that you think
it's
that?
Like it's hard to coin a term for it. Like you see with Max, why I always go back to Max, it's because he kind of gave it his own stamp.
Yeah.
In terms of
his own way.
With the Max thing, I completely understand. I'm trying to understand the Travis sound that you think is out there, because I don't know if I've heard it, so I'm trying to see
the auto tune kind of like, it's like contemporary rap, but he doesn't actually rap, if you know what I mean. So it's
I know what you mean though.
You know what I mean.
If you could probably play like 4 songs from different people and you can see what the thread is, and it did start at Travis Scott.
Cool. All right, my 2 points.
Wait, let her go.
I was just gonna say, I think what people are copying, it's not even just the music, even though down to like the technical aspect of the music that people are taking. It's a culture thing. Yeah. And I think Travis Scott is again
the drugs.
Yeah, there's that too. Exactly. It's glorifying a certain particular sound because it has an attitude. Yeah. So I think Travis Scott is not like someone you go to and think this is like, oh my god, my mind is blown by this music. It just sounds cool, and I think people want something that, at least to the younger generations and stuff, this sounds like someone that is really laid back in $1 million studio and just goes in and is probably doing a lot of drugs, and it's loud and it's distorted and it's angry and it's, do you know what I mean? It's just cool,
my spirit.
Right? And exactly, for real. But then that's cool, right? And then you put it to some visuals, and you have big, expensive watches, and all of a sudden, it's really it's popular, right?
Yeah,
so it's popular culture, and then people are like, take a bit of that, and I'm going to be popular too. And then you rock with it because you play it at the right time, it drops, and the right celebrities are around playing it too, and it reflects this time.
It just goes,
right?
So 2 points. One, Asher Roth was not influenced by Travis from Gym Class Heroes. Asher Roth was influenced by Eminem and has actually been working with a lot of hip hop royalty. He's done a project with Nuts, has another project with Nuts. If you look at
everything that I said,
if you know, I've got a second point.
Go ahead.
But you took so long to let me talk, so I'm addressing the small one first. Asher Roth, if you look at when he went in as XXL freshman and his music from then and how it went through.
Rap.
It was backpack rap. Yeah. It was Charles. He was white Charles Hamilton.
Yeah.
But so was
that. Then finish.
Travis was backpack rap too.
And look where he is now.
My second
point is Travis influenced Kanye. Kanye has a history of being influenced by whoever he works with. So all of his albums have been co-produced by somebody. I think College Dropout was the only one I think that maybe didn't. I think that was primarily him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
my Consequence was all over.
Late Registration,
all over
Graduation, all of them have had a different co-producer and thus have had massively different sounds. It's only his last 2 to 3 projects where it's been him, quote unquote, and I say that because it's a version of him, of what he feels he should be making. He's working with people like Travis, Little Pump, and all these more popular artists that, in my opinion, regardless if some of their songs go or their club songs and you can get with them or whatever, to me, in general, it's low quality music. Like I-Class Future in that band. I might still like some of Future songs.
I fuck with Future's.
I know you do. I don't know a lot of people do, and I get it. But just from a quality level, I feel like it's low quality music. It might bang, you might catch it at the right time, drops in the club at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You're going to be dancing, jumping up and down to it.
I
Whatever.
just feel like it's the type of music that you have to be drunk and high to enjoy.
I don't drink.
No,
that
do you
much
know what?
I
get what you mean, but I don't subscribe to it just because I've been like, so for example, Players Ball is a club night run by Southern Hospitality. So that's Rob Percy and another person. Yeah, they've always done Southern hip hop in their nights and trap and more of the harder stuff that I wouldn't listen to at home. Like when I was first hearing Migos, I was hearing it at Players Ball. I'd never listen to it outside of that. But at that party, I'm in it. Like, that was when I hated 2 Chainz when he was first popping, when he came out.
I liked 2 Chainz.
after Players Circle. So it was after that when he first became 2 Chainz. Yeah. That was where I first heard Chainz, Migos, all of those type of artists making that kind of music. I'd never listened to it outside, but in the club, I get it. So I don't think it's necessarily. No, I'm sure that enhances the experience. But I don't.
Drugs, baby.
Yeah. I don't subscribe to it.
The Astroworld album, really frustrated me because before I actually listened to it, I heard so much good feedback.
It got hyped up beyond
everybody,
everything.
and
they had a great marketing campaign as well.
People whose musical opinions I generally trust was telling me that Astroworld was this amazing album. So I was like, okay. And I started playing it and I just felt pieces of me dying.
That is not dramatic at all.
It's like, you know when it's like, okay, like you listen to the first song, you're like, okay. Second song, and I was like, just sat there like, oh my God. Like, and I had to stop it because I was like, a part of me is being killed, right? Like my soul was actually screaming, stop.
You didn't like Coffee Bean?
No.
I can't say that it's bad. I can't even say it's bad music. I can't I can't use that word.
It's
I
not
can just
always
say
for you.
it just did not sit well with me.
I think also to add that like for that audience,
yeah,
the bar's really low. Like you said, it's not good quality music. So actually, in the context of what that like community of musicians like are, or who they are, that was it. That was pushing the boat.
He was
doing a lot because they're like, whoa, the song changed in the middle, and then he had all these echoes, and they were like, whoa, my mind is blown. When like in other music, we've been listening to that properly for years, right? So there's like 13-year-old kids that were like, Travis Scott is like the next like Beethoven, right? That's what it was. It was genius for when you're only listening to 2 Chainz and you're only listening to Future. That was pushing the boat.
I didn't used to know that when people said that they love Future as an artist, they were being serious. For a long time, and when I say this, people think I'm taking the piss, but hand on heart, I thought that the whole Future hype was a joke. Like, I thought it was like sarcasm, like it was ironic, innit? Like, because they were like, Future's the greatest ever, and I was like, sure. And then one day something happened, I was like
one of those Twitter jokes.
Yeah, honest to God, I genuinely thought it was a Twitter joke, and then I was like, oh, wait, no, oh, you don't mean it, and they were like, Shakira, and I'm like, my bad. Like, this whole time I thought we were giggling together. Was I laughing by myself? And apparently I was. Like,
that brings me on to another point. I've got a good segue planned as well, but just albums, because I got cut off by Riz's rant.
Oh yeah.
One I really wanted to mention, Pete Rock dropped the return of the SP 1200, and this is Pete Rock pulling out like 20 odd beats from the 90s with J Rock doing cuts over every track. Sick. And it's all amazing. It's like, if you think of Pete Rock, like Pete Rock and CL, the main ingredient, the I album, anything Pete Rock did in the 90s, which was like the peak of his powers to me, is what this album represents. I was listening to it yesterday and I was just like, wow, I could actually just listen to this on repeat like for hours. And although I love instrumentals, sometimes you can get kind of bored. Sometimes you need vocals to enhance some beats and stuff. But that is great. And another one I wanted to mention that I didn't get to listen to yet was Saba's group Pivot Gang have put an album out. And Thnkfl highly recommended it. And the last project Thnkfl highly recommended that I listened to was Devin Morrison's
and that was
album.
amazing.
I've been playing
that.
Oh
my God. I played that so much that when I did that, have you done the Festify thing where it brings up?
I haven't done it yet.
So I did the Festify thing.
Was he your headliner?
He was high up there. And I was like, I've played this album so much.
Yo, he's so dope.
I loved it. And another album I haven't listened to yet, which I'm going to, is Alpha Mist has a new album.
Listened to it
yesterday.
Which brings me to a point. You put out a project with Alpha Mist years ago.
Years back.
Which I love, by the way.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
We were going to uni together, and we were in I think it was a year above me actually, but there were very few black soulful neo-soul jazz artists on the course in general, like throughout the years that were actually at the university at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think his year and my year got put together. I don't know why, but like just for like a performance module or something like that, or someone was like, you two need to work together. And then we'd like go into the studios that were on campus, and like, well, actually, I think I walked into him rehearsing one time on the piano. You can imagine what that's like. He's like a quiet, kind of like really recluse guy, and you walk into the room and he's just playing these chords,
going crazy on the
and
keys,
you're like, what in the name? And the thing is, he has a really specific sound, and like at that time, I felt like maybe like now, I feel like I could write to anything, but with him, it's like it brought out a particular sound in me that I needed to explore. And we just it just happened together. Like, he was working with other singers, but it just suddenly it was only me at a point. And then it was like, he was working with Barney in terms of rapping, and a few other people like Franklin music and like other people. But in terms of singers, it was just Alpha would text me in the morning, like, I've worked on something, I'm going to send it to you. And that was literally like, we were partners. If he made something in the morning, there's no way I wouldn't know about it because it was for me. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, it happened like that until we had Epoch, and we had other stuff that just didn't fit in there. We even had like, we have a song with Dornick that I wanted. It was like, I feel like it was the best song on the project, but it couldn't come out because he just signed to PMR, and they're like, because they wanted to go on with his album push and whatever, we couldn't put it on the project. But like, that can still happen now, I guess. Now things have changed and whatever, but that's how it happened. It's just the world got really small for a second, and it was just like a partnership.
No, I would like to hear the remainders of that.
There's loads of them, lots of random bits.
You recently had, I don't even know if it's a record breaker, but I think it's a cultural step, I would say.
Yeah.
You had a headline gig at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
How was that?
I feel like, you know what's mad? Definitely, it really hit me. I can't remember. I was one of my best friends. We've been best friends, Rabs. We've been best friends for about 17 years. We went to school together. And I see her every single week. And she said to me, and she's a really like quiet person, really sweet girl. And she said, you know what, like, someone like you, it's like, this has never happened. Like, someone like you would never be in a staging. And I was just like, that's true. Yeah. And it hit me because I'm like, it's not that I'm just doing, if it was that I was doing a real like traditional R&B, then I'd understand, because soul music does get that kind of push in these sorts of venues and whatever. Yeah. But like, actually sometimes if you listen to stuff I'm doing now, I'm actually just making like trap music. I'm making some gangster, some stuff I'm making is like 3LW. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's not refined, beautiful jazz, soulful stuff. Sometimes I'm just in there like, boom, 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 and it's like, it's trash, but I'm like, I like it. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm doing that. So I'm just like, actually, in terms of the sort of artist that I am, it is very rare, even down to just my aesthetic. It's like, I'm not an over-sexualized person. I'm quite like, I'd say like non-binary, androgynous, and like, do you know what I mean? So somewhere right in the middle, when I'm on stage, it's like I pipe up the masculine side a bit, or then bring out the sexy side. There's the sad songs, there's the rock songs, there's the soul songs, there's the R&B stuff. So I'm like, to play the Royal Albert Hall, which is like a very white audience, like in terms of when they're pushing it, like incredibly white. Like if you think about when they wanted to do the mail outs and stuff like that, the list of people they have to send it to are like jazz 1940s, jazz this time, whatever. And it's just like, when you're trying to put me in a box, who you're going to even send it to? Because they might have a list of 17,000 people, but like the ones that they'd say would buy my tickets were probably 10. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? That would be looking for me specifically.
How did that come about? Was it
Moses Boyd? So it's like a series called Unstoppable Voices, and I don't even know how he heard my stuff. And to be honest, it probably is through Epoch or something like that, because that project, I don't know, it had loads of legs of people that found it and have always lived with it. And they know me for having this like soulful side, so then I can do jazz stuff like that. And I think people have kind of always talked about my live set, and in a way that you have to see it to get it. So I think then that's why I always get good shows, because people want to just see it, so they want to put it in certain places. Are you okay?
What's going on? I don't know. My stomach is talking.
Are you picking up? As long as you're okay.
Anyway, the point I was getting to is like, I think the steps you've made in terms of your live shows, you've gone from you've done a small basement venue, like I saw you in Dawson. Really, really good set, good show. Apart from the venue, was a mad sweatbox. These venues
doesn't exist anymore.
These venues need to call it with that. Even Sebright Arms, a lot of people perform there. The basement there, I walked out during someone's gig because I couldn't take it.
Yeah, you can faint.
Yeah, it's
even on stage. Honestly, you get angry after.
We saw KSR.
Oh my god,
that was a sweatbox.
That place, like, oh my god. I turned around, I looked at Ash, and he was just like dying. Like,
and we were at the front as well, so all the lights were basically on us as well. And I was like, I need to take my hoodie off. And I'm standing, I'm like, no, I'm really hot, man. And I'm looking back at the walk between the crowd and the bar, and then how long it's going to take to get a drink at the bar. And I'm like, nah. But anyway, I digress. True. My point is the different performances you've done. So you've done kind of small venues, did really big with Red Bull. Yeah. That was a massive show.
That was huge. Biggest stage I think I played.
And it was an amazing setup. You lot missed out on that one, I think. I think I got tickets like super last minute. Because I remember I was having a go at you because you was like, oh yeah, I'm performing here. And I was like, it's sold out.
It wasn't my fault that it was like...
I know.
They said, you can announce it. And then a day later, tickets are gone. I'm like, what? It was like that.
But I managed to get tickets last minute. But that... it was Builder, so it was you, I am DDB, Sid from the internet was the headliner. How did that come about for you? Because I know with DDB, she kind of, when she was on stage, she kind of spoke about how it came about and just how crazy the whole thing was and whatever. But for you, how did that come around?
I've got a friend that's in LA called Fumi, and she's Sid's friend, and I think it was just... She was one. I've got a lot of good friends like that are just someone's friend, and they want me to have that moment. And she's just like, "You're gonna do an all-female lineup," and it's like Sid's doing a Sid and Friends thing, and like we hadn't met before I'd done the show. I don't think we'd actually met. It was just all online.
Right.
But it was all female lineup. It was going to be in London. Sid was coming down. Who should be on the bill? IMDb was bubbling at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mahalia's always like had this like thing. So Mahalia was featured on it too, Buddy, and who else was on? Was it just us guys? I feel like that was everyone in that case. So it was.
I remember that night. I was so jealous. I was so jealous. Ash was sending us videos, and I was like, I want to be
Yeah, well, I was there back in like double rum and Red Bulls by myself. Like, I kept going back to the bar, and this guy was like, "Right, you're really drinking?" I was like, "I'm cool."
I'm dead. So you have to just think. It was literally like the person that got to choose who the acts were. She probably about a year before, she was asking me, have you got a manager? Like, I would like to work with you. So it's like, we just end up being friends online. And she's just like, well, this is my job. So that's you, Em. I was like, oh. That's it. It's as simple as that. And that's like how a lot of my like shows have even come about. Just someone that's actually doing it just wants it for me.
That's really dope because obviously.
And that says a lot about you as a person.
I don't know.
Everyone has a very, 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 like, you know, like our personal experiences, like with dealing with like creatives. Yeah. Everyone has.
No, you guys are doing your things. I get it.
No, in terms of obviously, sometimes they're not the most personable or extroverted, so to speak.
Yeah.
But everyone that we've come across like has nothing but amazing things to say about
so sweet,
you as not even just the music. Like your music's amazing. But like they're like you're just an like dope person. So like I feel that all the success that you've got up until this point and all the success you have in store, because I feel that sky's the limit.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's very rare that you come across people that you can say, yeah, she actually deserves it because she's a
cool person.
But do you know what it is? It's you're a lovely person, but you're not just you're not just a good artist. Like we were speaking about the difference between artists and musicians, and we were like, you're the perfect example of a musician. You're not just an artist, because it's not just a thing, but in terms of your musicality, it's like it seeps through your veins, sort of thing. Like it's
just
like
from the way
everything.
that you said, it doesn't matter if you belt. You can do something with, like, to me, that's the difference, and I think that's kind of what, like, in terms of if someone comes to you and the vocal's not perfect, we're gonna work on it until we get the best version of yourself, or even if it's not perfect, I can do something with it. To me, that speaks volumes in terms of, number one, your character, and number two, the fact that you are actually, like, you're passionate about music.
Yeah,
and people will always gravitate to that.
That's true.
So that's really cool.
Think you. I feel
like just sitting here like, oh, you're being very I'm not gonna lie, man. I got a load to give.
I think. Can I say one thing? Maybe like not even to say that it's not even just about. I think I get on with people, but in reality, I've been doing this for a while, and like I've had a lot of experiences that I've learned from, and then I end up just seeing certain things in people that I'm just like. I know how quickly you can become bitter, and like I know how difficult it can be. I know what it's like to be so broke, and you're like you want to get something done, and it won't happen because you're broke. It doesn't matter how talented you are. There's certain things in music that won't happen if you don't have 20 quid. Like you can't, even if it just comes to getting a mix and master, they're gonna tell you £400 minimum to get it good. So you're like, well, I haven't even got a job right now. Like I'm trying to be a music. Do you know what I mean? So I get it. Like. Then you're thinking you want to have something at a particular kind of quality, and someone is not going to give you the time. And like I remember when I was in, it was just uni, and it's mad to think that now people think of me as a singer, because then I was like, when I first started getting into music, it was more about the beats and stuff like that. And someone said to me, oh, you're good, but maybe you shouldn't sing. And you think about that like now when people think of me first as a singer. So I went through probably about a year of thinking, okay, I'm not going to sing then. I'm going to just try and make beats and maybe do a bit of rap. And that's why I started getting into like more writing and trying to rap, because someone said you shouldn't sing, because they're like, what people are going to like is not what you do. Right? Exactly. Right? This is the thing. But at the same time, you take those things on board because you're like, they must have a point. Like you wouldn't say it if you didn't think it because of something you heard from me. So I'm just like, then I had to look at that thing and think, maybe I'm not as good as like at singing that as I thought. I have some work to do, but maybe I should try and focus on something else because I'm always doing so many different things.
Yep.
I am producing, I am writing, I am doing this, and like if people aren't gonna like it, put it away for a bit and focus on something else and get it stronger. So I'm just like, actually, I've seen so many like blocks in my career. I've had so many moments that I've just stopped everything dead that I'm like, when I see it in other people, I'm just like, actually, the problem is that you're recording in a tiny box room and you don't want to make noise next to your mum. That's not going to get, you're not going to get to the next level. So you need to get into a different environment, because I've had that same experience where like I'm recording and someone's shouting, shut up! Do you know what I mean? It's too loud. It doesn't sound good. Do you know what I mean? Or if my mom's come in my room, this is like maybe like 4 years ago or something, he said, oh, I don't really like that note. And it's mad that you're like, what do you know? You don't sing. But at the same time, now she said it, I'm like,
yeah, it's gonna make you sit.
Because I was listening to a podcast and Danae was kind of saying the same thing in terms of, like, obviously he's been around for years and worked with loads of different types of artists, and he's like, just going off of what people say as an artist sometimes isn't always best. Although like sometimes you do respect someone's musical opinion, it has to kind of be a thing where, well, you have an opinion, but like we can agree to disagree. Like in terms of, he was saying party hard. So he's saying him and his sister, like, she works quite closely with him, and she didn't like Party Hard. And
Party Hard was huge.
It was massive. That song was. And if he didn't go with his gut in that instance, he wouldn't probably be the person, because that was like the foot. Was it that or African Warrior?
Party Hard. African Warrior came after.
Party Hard was the one that kind of like put him into everyone's like.
I would say it put him back because
he had
the garage
stuff.
My philosophy was that's what everybody knew Danae for.
That's true.
My favorite
and then
song
when it went to Funky House, all of a sudden he came back out. And it was like raw. And he just had like banger after banger after banger for like a good couple years at least. Like,
Like he ran the scene for a good year.
But
and he was trying to bring it back, and I'm not sure what's happening with that.
But the one thing I'll give Danae, even now in more recent years, he definitely, like, we made jokes about it like a year ago on the podcast. We were saying like every Danae song sounds the same or whatever. Or if Danae's in your song, you're getting the Danae sound. Whether you want it or not, you're getting the Danae sound. But credit to him, he still does that to an extent, but I don't think his influence is as heavy. And I mean that in a good way. I mean, the more recent features I've heard from him, I think what he's doing is gelling with the artist a bit more. It's not just like, all right, cool, I'm going to go and get a Danae.
He was talking about
that's
all
what
of
I need.
Like, he was on the Free Shots latest episode, and he was talking about all of that being like something that he's very conscious of. He says that he doesn't necessarily like, he likes to create in a certain way, innit? So it's like people in the studio and how different energies and how people bounce off of each other. And he was just saying, like, for instance, like some of the he mentioned Shaka as one of the people that he enjoys working with just because of the vibe that
I can imagine.
Getz was another name that he mentioned in terms of just, he makes music off of energies and feelings and stuff.
Definitely.
And like, it was weird, because obviously a lot of the people that he's kind of had more prominent bangers with, I was kind of expecting him to name, but I can imagine, like, obviously, for instance, Gigs, they've collaborated like a lot.
They've had a couple.
But I can imagine how that studio session, because Gigs is kind of a personality, and then like they're both very dominant in terms of like what they feel works.
Yeah, because Gigs is proper like, I don't care if you like it, I don't care if you like it. I like it.
But I think that you kind of need to be like that.
No, I think there's an element
creation, like,
and that's what I was going to get at with what Riz was saying. With you've got that balance, I think, as any form of creative, and it's, you know, it doesn't even go down to creativity. I think it's anything you do in life, of that thing of kind of having almost that unwavering faith in yourself and what you're doing and your abilities. But then it's like, well, this person's saying this to me, and I respect their opinion. Do I really take it on board, or do I take it with a pinch of salt and kind of amend things? Do I not listen to these 5 people, but I listen to this one other person that might help me make the correct decisions, whether it's my, like, just career in terms of whether you work in marketing, finance or whatever, or if it's your journey as an artist or a musician. Because we always make a point of, we trash him nowadays. I never used to so much, but Dr. Dre, right? I wasn't gonna get to this point, but I thought about it. Like, is that Anderson .Paak's Oxnard album? Half of it was amazing. The other half of it, not so much. That was because of Dre, openly. And Anderson .Paak even said that he was like, Oxnard was Dre's vision for what I do. Ventura was me.
Yeah, and you can hear
it. I love Ventura beginning to end.
Oh, yes.
I'm with you.
And I feel like as an artist or producer or whatever level you get to, you can still have that thing of somebody's just gonna like I'm gonna put my foot in this here. This is what we're gonna do, and it might be the wrong decision.
Yeah. But fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. And I think, like in terms of that, like you kind of have to have a little bit of. If you have that innate desire to create this thing, create it. Yeah. People are going to like it or they're not going to. But you've done what you set out to do. And I think that sometimes that's enough, actually. Yeah.
I agree.
To have that desire to create and to create it. Yeah. That's enough. Like, that's it.
I think you should create it and put it out, and whatever happens, happens.
Like, exactly.
Yeah,
and
keep going.
And then you go from there. Like, because even like a friend of mine, we had a conversation where he had created an album or whatnot, and the people around him, he's just like, they don't really like it. And I'm like, okay, do you like it? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I
said, let's hear it then. Like, and he's like, well, I'm thinking maybe I need to start listening to other people. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. I was like, well, maybe you're better than they think you are, or maybe regardless. You've got something within you
that you want to
let it breathe.
Exactly.
Let it breathe. Like, and sometimes I think that we put too much emphasis on what are other people going to think of this
and how popular it's going to be as well.
Does it always matter?
I think that's very much a thing nowadays as well. Even though there's so much more accessibility to make music. Like I said, like even yourself, you have a home studio to do it. However many years ago that might not have been as possible. Yeah. People literally are just, they might be making beats on like crack software that they found off a torrent or whatever, and that's enough for them to actually make a project and put something out, for example. But we've got so much out there, it's hard to catch stuff, but also criticism is very, very, very high.
Oh,
it is.
In this
class.
Yeah.
And I know you've got to have like a...
You've got to have a fix.
You have got to. But I don't know, I think we have to learn, and this is something I'm teaching myself as well, is like, sometimes you have to learn that to do it is enough. Yeah. What people say after that is what people say after that.
It's interesting you say that, because I had sound like I did the whole no social media for Lent, probably a bit longer than Lent. So I posted on Instagram, and I had just a mad influx of messages. Now, I had an event, and to me, although I had an idea in my head of I would like to get into that space, having done the event, I look back and I'm like I've done it now, innit? Like, it was successful. I'm not really not that it's not that I wouldn't do another one. It's just like
better do another one.
Please do,
because it was good.
But it's like in terms of that, sometimes for so long I spent years I'm someone that comes up with ideas. Sometimes I follow through. Sometimes I don't.
Even this in itself.
This podcast was your idea.
Is your idea. We may have discussed it on and off for 3 years before. Yeah. But it was ultimately your idea.
It was this podcast is essentially, as much as we all work together, it's your creation. You put us together. You did.
So nice.
Look at us sharing all this love.
You know he's been waiting for this.
I know.
I gave you my full smile. You saw my No, but it is sometimes you just have to do things just to say you've done it, and it's like we put pressure on ourselves in so many ways that we don't even understand. We don't comprehend it's a big step in terms of art. You're putting yourself out there for the world to kind of define, brother. Because it is a big thing, innit? Your music, it's like me. I did once upon a time. I'd never
I'm still gonna leak one of our songs.
I'm waiting.
Riaz used to rap. I used to that. He used to rap when I used to produce.
Yeah,
when
I
we
used
were
to pretend that I was
16 to 18, 19.
But it was a case of it's just something that I've always been. I never thought I was that great, or like had any particular visions of being an artist. It was just something to do.
You just enjoyed rapping and stuff and writing.
So
and I think that those are
I would never put my music. I would never put it out. You should
do it though. I think that's like. I think when you like, we've got so many people out here who make music because they want to make money, or they want popularity, or they want this, or they want that.
Yeah, there's always
what we need is more people who put it out because it was something within them.
Yeah,
that to me is the greatest reason why you should make music.
100%.
You're not getting
why you should make anything. Give us the mixtape.
I can show you one verse and a chorus of a song.
I've still got a mixtape.
I've still got
anytime.
Do you know what? I haven't got much with Riz's vocals. He's got the stuff with the vocals on because
I'm saying, let's just roll up in his
however
house.
many hard drives over that period of time. But I've still got the beats that I made for him and just the beats I made in general, like in a folder on my dad's computer, like 40 beats or whatever. Still from.
Ash was annoying though because he would make like these banging songs.
I'd make like 2-minute beats.
Yeah, man.
Because I was using Reason and I did everything really unconventionally. I didn't quantize anything. I didn't use a metronome. I didn't use the automated BPM.
How did you not use the metronome?
I just did it all manual. And in some cases, like the loop for the sample might be slightly off, or the bass might be slightly, but it works.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. And then I'd be like, well, I've recorded this manually and looped this up however many times. So I've looped it like 10 times and there's 2 transitions in between all of these points. So I was like, I'm not going to make this 5 minutes long. Or something like that. And that's what it was. So,
yeah, because I have to write like one verse and maybe a chorus that Ash's beats, and it's like, just give me the 3-minute version, bro.
No, honestly, I swear to you, I keep saying it, yeah. I'm really, even if I do it off air, I'm going to show you the song I'm talking about. Because I'm really proud of the beat. Personally, and he actually did really well on it. So you're gonna hear it one day. Everybody's gonna hear it one day, but I'm definitely gonna show you that.
But yeah, what is obviously 2019?
Yeah, what's in store for you?
What's in store
for me? Okay, what's next? Well, definitely, I just shot the video yesterday, so I'm trying to continue with the series. It's a crazy concept. It's concepts within concepts. And I think the idea that I'm having, especially working with Jan Morawski, who's like one of the most amazing people I've met in my life. Like, I've just had this. I don't know if it's just fate or something like that. But I've just been being aligned with all the right people, and he's like a really talented director. He works in lighting and film, but he wants to go more into like creating. And then he just so happens to have worked on really massive films, so he has really good friends, which means he pulls in some huge favors. So that's why I'm gonna be having some incredible visuals, and it's like we're all just a family working on it, which is incredible. We're gonna do some more visuals that allow me to explore and I guess show more personality, I think, and show more like creative.
Love that.
And keep pushing that. It's not always just gonna be me in a nice car in a nice penthouse or somewhere in, do you know what I mean? Like just the obvious things. I think visually I want to go Missy Elliott. Do you know what I mean? I grew up in the era where like her head came off and went on someone else's body. I'm like, we're gonna do that. Do you know what I mean? Someone was wearing like 7 different, more than that, 8 or 9 different costumes yesterday, and then looking in the mirror like, what are we doing? Like, but we're here, there's 40 people here, so we're doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, and like I was saying about like the Budapest thing, how it kind of, I was walking down the street and just thinking, actually, there are no rules to this, and that's probably what at least my career has been missing, is I've always never been able to fit in the box, ever. Like from school, never been able to really fit into a box. So I'm just like, because I've been trying to fit in a box, that's probably what's not making things connect for so long. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, whenever. My manager John, like, we're literally like, he would just always randomly text me something, hashtag no rules, because just remember, whatever we're doing, it's not because of anyone, it's not because of anything, it's because we've made something and we just want to share it. So visuals are just going to be crazy. The album, I always talk about the album Honeymoon, but I have been talking to Fresh Selects and we're in the last, artwork is done, mix and master is done, the songs are there ready to give to people. It's just like we have to decide on a date, we have to decide on a run. We're done. There is nothing to do but push the button. And it's just, that could be a phone call, and it's just like, we're going to push it now. Okay, we'll push it right now. But until then,
the right time. Yeah.
Just that I'm doing a show next week on the 4th of May, which is in Milan, which will be nice. So I'm just trying to, because I've done a headline show at Royal Albert Hall, I'm like, there's no point doing any more London shows and doing like trying to force people to keep coming out to things right now. Travel a bit. I want to do some more traveling, just like where I'm headlining, because I've done a lot of headline shows, but not enough for other in other countries and stuff like that.
Masego, didn't you?
Masego. So I saw a lot of countries then, but then that was as like as support. So I want to go back, and luckily I've like stayed in touch with a lot of those promoters, or they just hit me up and they're like, we're seeing what you're doing. I mean, it's been a really good time now, because being chosen as one of the sleepers on the Joe Budden podcast, all of a sudden everyone's remembered me. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's been like, oh, and we've got this show. Thank you.
Because we've been saying this for ages. I was saying time ago, I was like, Rory's gonna be the one to play one of your songs, because we always come up. He keeps more in touch probably with what we listen to more, but also he's been hacking Ash's phone for a long time.
Yes, because everything that you're playing.
For a long time.
He's had about 5 or 6 of the same pics as me.
Yeah.
And I've been saying, what's just going to come? So when you posted it the other day, because I haven't listened to the Budden podcast in a while, they've been annoying me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But musically, the pics are sick. Always, from all of them. Yeah. But yeah, congratulations. Because the platform they're on now, for them to mention you maybe 2 years ago, still would have been a push. And it still would have got you however many more hundreds or thousands of people at that point. But where they are now,
it's good
they're
timing.
it's
a massive platform.
It's really good timing.
When I saw that, I was so happy. Like, I was actually elated when I saw that.
I know so many people that didn't even listen to podcasts, but they now listen to the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah.
When we were pushing our stuff in the beginning, a lot of clients said, I don't listen to podcasts. Oh, what, your podcast an hour and a half long? That's too long. 2 hours. Too long. Blah, 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 blah. And they're all listening to Budden's 2/3 hour podcast of Joe and everyone ranting and cracking jokes.
Yeah.
But it is like, obviously, like I said, sometimes people need to catch up in it.
And it's weird the space that they've got into, because you think about where they started and it's like
SoundCloud.
It was just SoundCloud, and it was when it was, I'll name this podcast later, and it was just like nobody was listening to
look at us, we're
anything.
2 years down the line, we're here still.
Spotify
still standing.
Exactly.
I mean, we ain't got no exclusive deal on it. We're there.
Just keep
we're
pushing. That's it.
Alternative route.
I like to call it the scenic route.
But
we're having fun.
So that's obviously opened up a platform for you. Do you have anything else planned that you're willing to let us in?
More show. I'm just trying to think. More. It's just more music, more shows. There's, collaborative stuff. I don't know how much I want to say, because it's always like, I'll say it now and then it's like it comes out 2 years later sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like going back to working with people that I was working with, and when people were first discovering me, I think I'll call it that. I think the ones that people are like, why haven't you been making tunes with this person for ages? We're back, we're working again. So it's like,
that's good.
I won't say too much, but that's gonna happen. And I think I'll bring back some old sounds. There's stuff, but again, it's like I want to say it first. I want it to like be confirmed before I say it. Because there's some good news. I would say,
Right, cool. That's enough.
What did I want to say?
The breaks, I was gonna say, which I was just looking at my phone now.
Wait.
Go on.
Projects, just a couple of projects. The Sasha Keable EP, man, is amazing.
Yeah,
love
I need to
it.
listen.
I love Sasha Keable anyway, but it's brilliant. Love it.
You put us onto her actually when you played one of her singles last year.
I stand Sasha Keable in general, but like this EP is amazing. Joy Crooks put out a new single as well. She's been putting out loads of stuff recently. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, she's doing really well. She sold out Jazz Cafe recently as well, didn't she?
Yep. Yeah. Love her. Who else? Oh, I don't know how to say this girl's name. Beabadoobee. She's put out an album called Loveworm, and I love it.
It sounds like somebody scatting.
Beabadoobee. She's, you know what? It's like.
That's a good idea.
It's not like for everybody, but I really connect with it and I really love it. And I think that's all I've listened to. But
I don't have anything new to share with you guys. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Okay.
What am I listening to?
Yeah,
Devin Morrison is. I've just been obsessed with him since when he dropped That's All, and the one with Mine is a Mind Sign or Mind Design. God, and they sampled that woman that walks. That there's like a gospel singer. This woman that walks into a house, and as soon as I remember what she says, that's the name of the song. But yeah,
is it on that album?
No, it's on SoundCloud. I don't even think it's because it's a sample. They probably didn't get it cleared. But I'm trying. Let me just look who have I been listening to? Obviously, Romderful. Yeah, there's just Devin, Morrison, Fonzie, of course.
Yeah, his album was dope.
That was perfect. Loads. Otherwise, it's like loads of singles, but project-wise, it's just
there's
those
loads
guys.
of singles that have come out recently as well. Mahalia just put out a single as well. Actually,
I haven't heard that yet. I've been a bit missing.
There's so much new music that has come out in the past 2 weeks that I felt suffocated.
Yeah. There's not enough. There's not enough time unless there's always music playing all day, every day.
And you know, and because I read a lot, but I'd bought so many new books that I was like, okay, I'm not buying any more new books to read until I've finished reading all these books that I've got. And then I've just started listening to audiobooks. So it's like between my audiobooks and new music, it's like there's no more time. There's actually no more time.
Yeah. My pick, actually, I was just flicking back through my phone to go through them. I know it's going to sound like I'm doing it because you're on the episode, but I'm not. My pick is actually off Romderful's album, I Know, with yourself and Mali Music.
Nice.
That and probably Let's Get High are my favourite songs off the album.
I like Gut Feeling as well. I can't stop singing Gut Feeling.
Like I said, it's whole thing's a vibe album. Anyway.
Yeah.
It caught me from the first track to the end. So that's my pick.
My pick is going to be Ada, I Know. A single dropped a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
You sound really enthusiastic about it.
No, it's alright. It's a nice start. It's nice and vibes for me.
Mine is going to be from the Sasha Keable project. It's Treat Me Like I'm All Yours, and I have had that on repeat.
Dope.
Do you have anything?
Let me look, because even if it's
doesn't matter if it's old, new, whatever.
Okay.
Because to be fair, last time you introduced us to Lilo Gold.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You did. And after that, Starry Night was playing non-stop.
I didn't even think who. This might take me a second to even think about. I'm thinking, if it's not something that's new, who else am I who's in the forefront? There's too many people.
It must be difficult because you've got your own music, other people's music,
and then stuff you've worked on.
Yeah, because you know what, I've been in this space because I've been working with DT Soul, who plays piano in my band, sick. And Talkbox, and Dane Jordan, who is Jazzy Jeff's MC when he's touring. So we did this. I can't play it, but I'd love to, because I'm in this space where actually everything I'm listening to are just demos.
Is what you're making.
Yeah, it's what we're making. So like we had this tune, and it was like we went into the studio last week or something. It was last week, and we were there for like 7 hours. And in the last hour and a half, 2 hours, we came up with this song. But it was like everything up until that point was like warming up to have this, and this is a definite single. But for both of them, because Dane's rapping on it and DT Soul's doing the Talkbox.
Yep.
But the vibe is so perfect, but it's kind of like,
we'll add it to the playlist when it drops.
Yeah, when it drops. It's so perfect. And then we were in the studio with it's like my new bass player friend called Herx. And yeah, I'm just in that space where I've only been listening to these. We've been making these killer tracks that they're not even so much me, it's just us.
Yeah.
That I don't know. New music, I'm like, I don't even know how to latch onto it, because I'm like in creative mode at the moment. But
that makes sense.
I could definitely play.
We'll just wait to hear your new stuff.
Before we give your socials out, I just wanted to say, over the last 50 episodes, what would you say is your favourite moment, Shax?
Oh my days, why would you do that?
How can you drop that now? We don't even have time. What the audacity of you?
Give us yours.
Yeah.
You didn't come prepared.
My favourite moment would probably, because it sticks out in my head so much, because I was being a complete arsehole that day, when we had Louise on, and I was like, oh, wait till I put my leg up.
Oh my days.
Of course, that's what you're going
to that's your favourite moment.
This guy. This is what we've got to put up with.
I just thought it was funny.
I don't have one particular favourite moment. probably one of my favorite shows outside of the ones where we've had guests, because guests always enhance the experience. Is the Prodigy episode. That's
my highlight.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that episode.
Where we discussed Prodigy, his life's work.
It's mad because the anniversary for Infamous was this week as well.
Yeah. It was.
Best hip hop album ever.
That was that still might be my favourite episode. I thoroughly enjoyed that episode.
Thanks for sneaking that sucker punch
in.
You know me, I'm full of surprises, yo.
He really likes to put us on the spot. It's like, what? That's the sort of thing that I have to think about.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
That's so nice. You have a nice family vibe in your life.
It's just because we've been nice to each other today. This doesn't always happen.
They're normally throwing me underneath the bus.
You're usually giving us reason to.
Yeah. You're still underneath the bus, but you're not really throwing you. You're
I'm just trying to improve just every day, be a better version of myself. You know? But yeah, thank you for coming through, blessing us with your presence.
Thank you very much.
If you can tell the people where they can find you.
Google Emmavie, Emmavie, everything. I mean, other than Twitter, it's got SXF on the end, or SoundCloud, it's 100. But everyone's kind of doing Instagram and Spotify, Apple Music. Yeah. But Emmavie. Yeah, exactly. Right?
Love that.
But yeah, it's not a hard name to find. And because I've collaborated so much, it's like it's spread everywhere.
The web is very wide.
That's it. Yeah.
Love that.
Cool. That's us.
Brilliant.
Thanks
thanks for coming,
so
and
much.
we'll see you guys on the other side.
Peace.